Hi guys, gals, and non-binary pals. This is Riley, the editor, just jumping in really quick to let you know that there's a bit of an audio issue at the very beginning of the episode, but that's no big deal. This week, the gang dives into 2 Queer Eye episodes to continue their Pride Month streak, God Bless Gays, and Preaching Out Loud. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy.
Anthony had a light day. He was literally like, all right, you know what? Nah, you do the cooking. So, like, he said, you show me how to cook.
Macaroni salad.
Like, speak into that guy and be like, let me not do my Jonathan impression, but...
I was going to say, be careful.
Hello?
Hi, Socratic.
Yes.
Yeah, that's us.
This is the Mr. CEO of Patreon.
These come from, I think these are God Bless Gays season 2, episode 1, and Preaching Out Loud is season 5, episode 1. If any of you guys want to quickly go watch them and come back. But I have something important to tell you all right now that probably blows whatever you guys are about to say out of the water. Can anyone guess? This is something special.
No,
It's not what you think.
I don't think anything. So yeah, I mean,
Charlie said head empty. Do you know what episode of this show it is?
of what, Socratic Cinema?
Yeah.
It's like one of them. Yeah.
It's season 4, episode 20.
Cool. Oh my God.
Hey, we made it. 420.
Period.
Good job, guys.
Hey.
Look at us.
Look at us.
Look at us. Yeah.
Look at how much we've accomplished together. Yes, but we're talking about Queer Eye to celebrate some queer TV shows, specifically ones where 5 gay men glamorize people. It's a lot of fun. It's a good time. And we're going to talk about it. Both of these episodes are heavily have to do with religion and the sort of intersection between religion and the LGBT community. So we're looking forward to some good conversation about it all. So let's dive right in. Kasey, the hostess with the mostest for this week. Steer the way. What are we doing first?
Yes. All right. So let's start off as we usually do with initial thoughts. Let's start off with initial thoughts for Preaching Out Loud. Charlie, how did you feel?
Ooh. Well, so real quick, before I say my opinions, for Queer Eye, when we were talking about the people, and I know that some people on YouTube, and we should be inclusive about this, 4 of them are gay men, and I believe it's Jonathan Van Ness is non-binary. So
Okay.
just want to clarify. That is to my knowledge. I don't know if anyone else has updated that or anything, but that is to my current working knowledge of how they all identify. So
Cool.
Yes.
Good to know.
just to put that out there and to preempt the YouTube comments that will come in and correct us. I got
Yes.
you.
These are
We
like
care.
Yes.
We're being
This is-
inclusive. We love
yeah.
everyone.
Yes, very much. This is like the second time I've ever seen Queer Eye, so I'm just trying to remember their names right now.
Oh yeah, no, you are all good, friend. But so Preaching Out Loud, these are 2 of my favorite episodes in the entire series. I've watched all 5 seasons. I watched the Tokyo, Japan specials. I think they were all set in Tokyo. I can't exactly remember. But Queer Eye is like one of my favorite shows on Netflix, and I think it's phenomenal. These episodes are some of my favorites because I think that they really let the hosts come out and learn some things themselves and interact with people that they normally would not. For Preaching Out Loud, this is the one about the Philadelphia priest, correct?
Pastor. Yeah.
Pastor,
Do
yes,
they call him a
pastor.
priest or pastor?
They call him a
Pastor.
pastor.
Yeah, I
Okay.
will always confuse those 2 terms. Pastor. So the Philadelphia pastor. I really like this episode because I think that it deals with a very important issue within the gay community and religious community, and that's how those 2 areas intersect. And that's going to be a big topic that we talk about today. And I think that one thing that you definitely get from both of these episodes, and definitely from Preaching Out Loud, is that there's a lot of nuanced takes from all the different members of the cast. It is definitely not just one opinion that's going on. It is several different people all sort of coming out with their own relationship with the church, how that intersects with their own personal identity, what they think of or what they think about it, how they want to grow communities. And I think especially with Preaching Out Loud, it's really great to see that there's a lot of progress within, I don't know specifically what denomination they were. Was it Lutheran?
Yeah, Lutheran.
Yeah, Lutheran.
It's good to see that there's great progress within the Lutheran Church, and that there's more and more gay pastors and queer pastors that are coming out and actually being public about it. So I think that just diving into that slice of life for that episode in particular, I really enjoyed seeing.
Yes. Okay, awesome. James, how did you feel? Because I know when we started talking about which episodes we were gonna do, it was a little, I don't know, it's just because of
No,
how like
sure.
controversial it
Yeah,
can get.
it's look. I mean, this is a tricky subject to talk about for sure. I mean, this is probably one of the more, uh, I mean, I don't want to say controversial, but I mean, definitely one of the hotter topics. We normally don't really talk about this sort of stuff on the show. So I was just a little bit like, and as a I mean, I'm a proud Catholic, and I was just sort of preparing myself for like, this is a really nuanced conversation to have, and I hope all of us can come out learning some stuff. But I was really, I just, I was afraid that I was going to come into this, watch these episodes and see like, my faith, this part of my life that's so important. I just was scared to see it misconstrued into something that it's really not. And thankfully,
Mm.
neither of these episodes had Catholic people. So screw you guys. I listen, like I'm in the same boat as you. They're not me. Um, we got different rules. But anyways, I was really pleasantly surprised with both of these episodes, and I think the show did a good job of sort of making some reconciliation while being very respectful to the church and to religion as a whole, which was really pleasant to me. I was very very surprised. I've always liked what Queer Eye's doing. I think they do a really good job of just I don't even know how to describe it, but I think what they're doing and the messages they're putting out are very good. Um, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't like Preaching Out Loud as much as God Bless Gay. Um, I just felt like God Bless Gay had similar messages, but with more heart. Uh, but Preaching Out Loud, of course, was still good. I will say, I think the makeover was probably better in this episode than the other one.
Yeah.
Fair.
They didn't really change much on the mama whatever. I forgot her name. Um, but no, it was a good episode overall. I watched Preaching Out Loud before God Bless Gay, so I was still kind of like trying to get the ropes of like, okay, who does what are their personalities. I definitely have my like favorites of the gang. Maybe we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Um, it's just for funsies.
Mhm.
No, but overall, it was a good episode, and I really agreed with a lot of what it had to say.
Yeah,
There
that
you
is
go.
awesome. For Preaching Out Loud, I did the same that you did, James. I watched Preaching Out Loud and then I watched God Bless Gay. And I really liked both of them. As Charlie was saying, they're probably in my top like Queer Eye episodes ever that I've watched. I've also watched all of the content that they have out and available. And I love the themes that they tackle in their more they're more like religious episodes, because there are other ones where it kind of touches on religion, but these are like the main ones that do.
Mm.
So I took some notes. So we have like the main point of like reconciliation as a queer person with religion, where we see Noah and as a queer like clergyman, and then we also see like Bobby. Once we get to talking about the guys, I really want to talk about Bobby's
Yeah.
Mhm.
evolution between God Bless Gay and Preaching Out Loud, which I think
Yeah.
is really, really, really good.
Yeah, that was really
Um,
cool.
yes, I was just living. Um, and then just talking about like imposter syndrome and stuff like that, where that was also a big thing in Preaching Out Loud. Um, with Noah feeling like he should have done more as a queer person and I feel like there's a lot to get into there. But I really, really liked the episode. I've watched it probably a few times. But it's just I understand what James was saying, where he's like, oh yeah, that it doesn't have as much heart as God Bless Gay. But I feel like there's a lot of stuff to talk about between the two. So with that being said, let's move on to God Bless Gay. What are our thoughts about that one? I'll go to Charlie first.
This is probably my favorite Queer Eye episode of all time. I mean, God Bless Gay is phenomenal because of just the breadth of topics that it touches. You're dealing with community. You're dealing with a very hardworking mom who has to reconcile her religion with her gay son's identity, and then also the fact that there's this huge community that needs to be brought together. And I think that the biggest thing is that in this episode, the entire Fab Five, all of them undergo some sort of transformation themselves and really expand on their relationship with religion and talk to each other and evolve. And specifically, as you guys said, Bobby, that is where his journey really starts, is in this episode, where, you know, he's standing outside of the church and he won't go in because of all of the, you know, horrible experiences he had with that. And then he talks to Ma. Is it Ma or Mama?
I think it's Mama.
What was her name? Tressie? Something like that. Started with a T. Anyways.
Mama.
Yeah, just Mama.
And he's talking to Mama, and you see him tearing up, but also smiling. And I think that's definitely the biggest part of it for me. Like, people genuinely underwent positive transformations this episode, and it's so beautiful to see. And definitely everyone agrees for that. I believe on IMDb it's like a 9.1 rated episode out of 10, which is insane for IMDb because they're very harsh and stingy. So it's just great to see that level of just realness in a TV show, because so many times reality TV is all built around these, you know, very fake, suspenseful, dramatic moments, where here it's just all laid out for you and you just get to see the genuine love of a community come together, and something beautiful happen because of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, James.
There was an awkward silence. That's okay.
No, sorry. I'm going in and out. I'm sorry. I'm trying to.
Oh, it's all right. It's all right. You know, it's an overcast day. The signals are getting jammed. Don't worry about it.
Mhm.
I think this was a phenomenal episode of television. I loved it from start to finish. Mama has my entire heart. I would love to sit down and have a conversation with her. And Charlie's right. I think this is like strong because these people who, you know, the Fab Five are, of the 3 episodes I've seen, right? It's like they're the teachers. You expect them to come in and like fix up these people. But I think really like Mama does more teaching than they do this episode. Like, I think they all genuinely learn things from her. And just that sequence at the end where she's like telling them each like how, you know, she like tells them each something personal, like, and it was just so beautiful. And they were all 5 of them very clearly impacted by that. I mean,
Yeah.
Anthony was like sobbing.
Oh my
Oh,
God. He
my
broke my
gosh.
heart.
I know.
Yeah.
Best boy, by the way.
Well, because he's
Um,
usually so cheery and
actual-
fun and happy, and he's like, I'm having fun with the food. And then when you see him cry, it's like, stop, please. You're not the one that's supposed to do that.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
But yeah, no, it was just a really good episode. And I think the fact that they were able to do these sort of 2 stories in that episode between both the mom and the son, Miles, they kind of got a 2-for-1 going on. And I think, what's the culture guy's name? Karamo?
yes,
Karamo.
Karamo.
I think he did really well this episode. I have a feeling like with a guy like Karamo, it can kind of be like the same thing every time. Because I mean, it's just like, you know, you're worthy, you deserve it, like every time. But like, I think he really shone this episode a lot. Again,
Mhm.
based on the 3 episodes of this show I've seen.
No, you're right. A lot of people like to clown on Karamo because the other members have like very substantial, and I guess like material roles that they fill. Like, it's very obvious to see the amount of work that Bobby puts in because he like redecorates an entire house,
Mhm.
or the amount of stuff that Anthony does because he could cook a really beautiful looking meal. But Karamo, it's hard for him to like show his work. So they always have him like in front of a whiteboard or something to show that he's like thinking of things.
Yeah.
Right,
the
yeah.
B-roll.
Like they try and prove it to the audience, but he really like, it's very impressive how emotionally intelligent he is and how he can get these people to believe in themselves again and to have some sort of confidence. And you see that in the Preaching Out Loud episode. Like that guy was very much very not self-confident. And it was sort of nerve-wracking to see him lead such a big congregation of people and like try and be confident while simultaneously not really feeling like he's up to the task. That moment in that episode where Karamo brings him to the other two pastors,
Oh yes.
and one of them says, "Would you ever like call out one of your disciples for not coming out as gay soon enough?" And he's like, "No." And then she said, "Well, why do you do that to yourself?" And he's like, "Oh my God, it all makes sense."
I
Yeah.
Like his
believe
mind
it's
expanded at that moment.
I believe it's he. They're
Oh, he?
yeah, they're
Gotcha.
yeah. Yeah.
Sorry,
But
he.
that got me too. I was like, "Oh man." Because it's just so good seeing like they have several sections over the 2 episodes that we watch where they're just kind of speaking into these people. And even in God Bless Gay, it was mostly focused on like that kind of what's it called? Like emotional intelligence is focused on Miles versus his mom, because at that point like when they're getting to mama, like she knows who she is.
Yeah, she's
You know?
fine. Mom,
Like
listen.
she's fine.
Here's the thing with that episode is like Mama was already 9/10 of the way there. Like she
Yeah.
just needed a haircut. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jonathan's the only one that did anything for her.
Anthony had a light day. He was literally like, "All right, you know what? Nah, you do the cooking." So like he said, "You show me how
He
to
made
cook."
macaroni salad. Like
I
He definitely
Lit.
saw that opportunity and was like, "Time for an easy paycheck." Yep,
Mhm.
we're doing a light shoot today.
Yes. And he gonna hang out with black aunties all day. Yes. Yes.
I
Sign
know.
me
I
up.
bet that was a good macaroni salad.
Yes. Yeah. And that banana pudding. Ooh.
Oh, the banana pudding was good.
Yeah. And man, just these were 2 very like emotional episodes too. So I love how I think that both you guys have been touching on it, that Queer Eye like used like it kind of used to be just like playing into the stereotype of like, okay, we're gonna bring these like gay guys and they're gonna make you fabulous. But now
Yeah.
it's like
Mhm.
really trying to turn it into something like more positive, you know? Like, of course, you're going to get a makeover, you're going to get like all this stuff, but you're also going to get like a look into yourself. And it's more like connected to like therapeutic kind of like makeover. Like, you're not only making over your like wardrobe, where you're also making over like how you see yourself, how you live, how you interact with
Mm.
others, which I feel like is great. And I'd like to get into it more when we're actually talking about the guys, because especially like Tan and Bobby, like I feel like they have like a very like important role, which I just think is
Mhm.
interesting.
Yeah, I what was I gonna say? Compared to the other episode, I think I've seen an episode from like season 1 where they fix up this camp counselor guy. I mean, it was a very surface level episode, sort of like what Kasey was saying. It was like, okay, we're gonna make you a food and get you some new clothes and clean up your cabin you live in, and that's it. Like, I don't remember any of the sort of like emotional impact that these episodes had. Um, so I think it's really cool that the show is able to sort of move past like sometimes you wind up stereotyping yourself a little bit, like you put yourself in a box. And I think it's cool to see this
Yeah.
show. I think it's good to see them able to move outside of that box. I don't think. I mean, I think some of the guys are definitely more like I don't know. They're some of the guys are helping this transformation more than others. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
like
I get what you're saying.
but that's that's sort of getting into like opinion. But which I mean, listen, I'm happy to talk about my opinions about the guys. I am more than happy. Like, let's rank them. Um, They are celebrities. They are. We do not know them.
Well,
Um,
so I used to think about it like you did, James. I used to think that Karamo did nothing, and I was like, well,
well,
Bobby's
now
obviously
I
the one
didn't
doing
say
the.
that.
Well, I didn't, not specifically that, but that some do more than others.
Yeah.
I don't really think that anymore. I think it all depends on the person who does the most. Because usually, like, Anthony can have a very big impact on somebody's life if they are eating very unhealthily and need that sort of like push in the right direction to show them how to be more responsible and use appropriate foods for their diet or whatever, right? And
Right.
in an episode like God Bless Gay, he doesn't really do a whole lot because he's just helping prepare for this community event.
Yeah.
So he doesn't really have any lessons to teach anyone. Somebody like Jonathan can give people a lot of confidence if hair is the thing that they're not a whole lot of confident on. But in some other episodes, it's literally just like, snip, snip. Oh my gosh, your hair looks so cool.
Yeah,
Right?
I think these
Right.
2 episodes I would have liked to see a little bit more from Jonathan these 2 episodes. I feel like I mean, he's obviously the most, like, comedic, I would say.
Mhm.
Like, he's pretty much always cracking jokes. And, like, I just feel like I never got to see Jonathan really take on the same kind of emotional maturity that the rest of them did. Um
It's very much these two episodes. There's an episode, I believe, in the fifth season where they go back to his high school. And that's
Oh.
a
Yeah, yeah.
huge, like,
Okay.
holy
Yeah,
guacamole that
'cause
he ooh,
mhm. 'Cause,
that's
like,
a
in these
situation.
episodes, I mean, Anthony, Karamo, Bobby were all, like, really, really great. Tan in, Preaching Out Loud, I thought was really good, but then he also took more of a backseat in God Bless Gay. So and I mean, again, we only watched 2 episodes, small sample size,
Mhm.
but I definitely
Yeah.
would like to see more from the whole, the gang as a whole.
Yes. I definitely agree that some of the episodes, like I can't really describe it as anything other than screen time and like a screen time type impact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they get like very lopsided. Like thinking about Jonathan, like they really had an impact on the guy from what it was like first season, first episode. Oh, Can't Fix Ugly. Like that one. Where it was this guy who was very, very like self-conscious. He had a whole bunch of like is he had gotten out like redness on his skin and especially like his face area, and then Jonathan
Oh,
was able
yeah.
to kind of speak into that guy and be like, let me not do my Jonathan impression, but
I
just
was
be
gonna
like,
say, be
no, you
careful.
like all you need is we like it's not about fixing ugly. Like you think that you're ugly, but that's not necessarily like the case. Like you're doing all this like outside stuff, but like I feel like that's probably the best episodes where when they're all kind of working hand in hand
Yeah.
because he like Jonathan and Karamo were both working on like we're doing like outside appearances because this guy who had like very very low self-esteem, self-loathing to the point where it was like, okay, yeah, we can fix all these things, but it doesn't really matter as long if you don't believe them, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like that leads into the point where like Bobby and Tan, like they both kind of like they focus on elements that are affected by like your projection. And I feel like Jonathan fits in there too. Like we're looking at appearance. So Jonathan and Tan are looking at like wardrobe and appear like like haircuts,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh skincare and stuff like that. But then Bobby's looking at your projection in your like living space because there are several people who are like, I don't take care of myself, therefore I'm not going to take care of my space. And I love in God Bless Gay how Miles coming up to Mama and just being like very like open and honest about his like his messy room, which I feel like is great because as someone who has like depression, like you get depression messes, like where you're just like so deep into it where you cannot like bring yourself to like clean your room. And it's just another way that like depression manifests. So I feel like even having that kind of throwaway like 30-second thing, which was again a little throwaway 30-second conversation with Karamo in the car. Like that really, really at least helped me feel seen because I was like, okay, I can recognize that. Um,
Mhm.
and a little thing about Karamo. So my parents have been watching The Challenge, and like it's an old reality TV show.
Mhm.
And so Karamo is on The Challenge, right? And I was like, oh, that's Karamo. But the super interesting thing is we were talking in the beginning of the episode about journeys, like journeying with Bobby in his how comfortable he is with the church. So within this reality TV show, Karamo at the time is presenting as straight. And I feel like that's super like interesting because I had only known Karamo from Queer Eye, right?
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and I feel like going from being this kind of like very straight hetero, like trying to be very straight heterosexual masculine, um well, no, you can't. Yeah, yeah. Um,
Take
sorry.
your time, Kasey.
And to and obviously like the way that he reacts to some like challenges, he's very like, if I don't want to do it, then I'm not going to do it, which I feel like is kind of a manifestation of what he talks about with the people that he works with, of being just on the show Queer Eye, where he's just very like into bodily autonomy, and I feel like that's very interesting coming from someone who was presenting as straight. Like he has kids, like it
Mhm.
wasn't
Oh.
yeah, so they're on the cast, I believe. Two so Anthony and Karamo had both had relations with, or have had relations with, women, but I don't believe any of the other people on the show have. So I feel like
Mm.
that's also something that like is really interesting to look at, and especially him going around and and like essentially just telling people that it's like, no, it's okay to be who you are, and it's okay to like work on yourself. Like even like the section in Preaching Out Loud where he's like, you have all this extension, like this extensive library, but you don't have a lot of queer literature. And I was like, yes, that totally makes sense. So I just found it like really interesting, like how he's kind of evolved in that way.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I needed to like unpack for a second. Hold on.
No, that's a really good point. I think that Karamo's insight, and one of the things I respect about him most, is that he draws a lot on his own personal experiences and is very vulnerable with people. And as you were saying before, those little 30-second snippets of like him talking about the clean room thing, or trying to guide people through sort of the mini manifestations of their depression, those are very important for people who are watching the show, not just the people that the Fab Five are helping out at that moment.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm.
that's one of the best things about Queer Eye, and I think that that's one thing that on Socratic Cinema we try and praise a lot of media for, is putting positivity into the world, because we love, dramatic movies and sad movies and all that, but when we see a happy movie or a happy piece of media, we really want to latch onto it and appreciate it, because those are so few and far between. And I think Queer Eye is perhaps one of the best examples of happy media because of the way that it draws on the trials and tribulations of its hosts, and then allows people to learn lessons from that and to feel seen and heard, and to feel like they're not alone in their struggles. And like, even though the Fab Five not be or might not be helping them out, directly at that moment, they're helping them out by just, being there, showing what they're doing with people, and showing that a transformation can be possible.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
that's why I love Queer Eye and why I've always loved Queer Eye, is
Yeah.
just because of that effect it has on people.
I was very pleasantly surprised. You're right, by just how positive it is. I mean, a lot of times these sort of makeover shows can tend to be very like, it's like you're supposed to point at the person and laugh, like say
Yeah.
What Not to Wear, or like Worst Cooks in America. Like they're transformations, but you're very much supposed to like, everyone look at how inept this person is and laugh, but Queer Eye is very much not that. Like the gang, I mean, they make jokes, but they're never like, they never condemn the person in their initial state. Like they're not mean or rude or harsh. They're very like, let's meet you where you're at. And I like that they have a very strong emphasis on like their makeovers are never it would be very easy for them just to put like, okay, well, here's what I think you would look good in, or like, here's what I like think looks good, and you just wear that now.
Mhm.
But I like that there's
Mhm.
such a strong emphasis on like, well, let's take what you like and find ways to make it more authentic. They're
Yeah.
very focused on rather than trying to like change the person, they're trying to bring out the good qualities that were already there,
Yes.
which I love. I mean, I think that's great. Um, ring, 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 ring. Pick
Uh,
up the phone. Ring, ring, ring.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi, Socratic Cinema.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
That's us.
Hi, this is the Mr. CEO of Patreon.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
How are you today?
Good. Where's the check that we've been waiting for in the mail for our monthly thing?
I'll get on that as soon as I can. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. CEO.
I just
Oh, why
I
are
just
you
checked on
calling?
your account.
Oh.
I was about to get there, Kasey.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, he calls you by name. Wow, that's impressive.
I know we're on first name.
Mrs. Clark. I checked your message inbox, and you have some patron questions for this month.
Oh my God. What are the
wow.
questions,
What
Mr.
are yeah.
CEO?
Hold on. I'm getting a call. I gotta hang up. Bye.
Oh,
Bye?
bye.
Oh,
Bye.
hey, sorry, I was just getting
Wow.
some water. The phone was ringing?
Yeah, we got a special message from the CEO of Patreon.
Oh, I was just looking at Patreon, and it looks like our patrons have sent us some questions for this month's edition of Patron Questions and Answers with Socratic Cinema.
Woohoo. Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to the Patron Questions and Answers show, where we answer questions and give answers to questions from our patrons who are expecting answers. To get on the show, you be a patron and you ask us questions. So if you would like to have your question answered live on air, please consider supporting the Socratic Cinema podcast at patreon.com/Socratic Cinema. This week, we've got 2 questions, 2 patrons, 2 questions, but you're going to get 6 answers because there's 3 of us. Do you
Ooh,
feel me?
yes.
You
Whoa,
dig?
that is
Yes.
how math works.
You dig? Our first
Ideal.
question comes in the mail from all the way from I don't know. Mr. Samuel Copeland asks us, he writes, I'm currently rewatching the Star Wars franchise, and I would love to hear the crew's favorites. Hopefully, there's some love for the prequels. And I guess we're about to find out. Before we start, are we limiting ourselves to 1 through 9, or are we including Rogue One and Solo?
I
And
would
the Clone
say
Wars movie.
I would say any feature film Star Wars movie that has happened. So anyone that has appeared in theaters that is
Okay.
branded with Star Wars.
All right. Does anyone have an answer they would like to present right off the bat?
Ooh.
I mean, Kasey, you go first.
Okay. So my answer has evolved, like when
Mhm, mhm.
I first watched the prequels, I would say my favorite of the prequels would be Return of the Sith. Why?
I don't think
because
it has to be your favorite prequel, right? I think it's just your.
Oh yeah. I know. I'm just prefacing.
my bad. When
No,
you
you're good.
first watched the prequels, I was like, is it just 1 through 3?
No. Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
No,
I
you're
totally broke
good.
your flow. Go ahead.
You're good. So I would say that was my favorite because it was the most interesting of the prequels. Less politics, more fighting. And
Yeah.
my favorite overall, I would probably say, is Return of the Jedi.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's an
Interesting.
interesting pick. Can you give us like a brief why, perhaps?
I feel like that movie, I feel like it's like a nostalgia thing, Like I
Mhm.
remember when we were getting ready for The Force Awakens, to come out, and every once in a while, before The Force Awakens was even announced as a movie, it wasn't even an inkling yet, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I would just watch like the Star Wars movies with my dad. And I always really liked Return of the Jedi. Like I feel like they had like redemption, there was romance, there was violence, there was
Kasey and her violence, man.
I know. I swear I'm a very
She's
nice
a
person.
violent person. No, like we've talked about multiple episodes with like fighting game references in them, and she likes to beat things like
I
brutally
do.
with her fists. So I don't know.
It's cathartic.
It is cathartic.
See, thank you. Thank you. But yeah, I feel like overall it's just a great story. It was a great way to wrap up that like leg of the series. And honestly, it's one of the movies that if I was alive when it came out and I was alive throughout the first like the OG Star Wars were coming out, I would be incredibly satisfied with that ending. So that's
Yeah,
why
I
it
was
would
gonna
be my
say,
favorite.
like you said, it's a good way to close off this leg of Star Wars. It was a good way to close off Star Wars. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Fair, fair.
Charlie, what about you? Favorite
All right.
movie and a little elevator pitch as to why.
Sure. So, I do not agree with the internet when it comes to Star Wars a whole lot of the time. The prequels, internet loves them a whole lot. I will say, I think that Phantom Menace is super fun as a movie.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it a lot more than I expected to on rewatch. And although there are tons of not great bits, hello there, Jar Jar and accent, I
He's
think
not that bad, dude. It's not that bad.
Well, and then if you consider like Watto being a Jewish stereotype, then that also gets worse.
Yeah.
So questionable decisions from George Lucas. But that movie's really fun to watch because of the just a lot of the set pieces and events that happen in it. Makes no sense as a movie. But I think that the prequels overall are fairly lame and they really destroy the character of Anakin, and that's why the Clone Wars as a series is really good, is because Anakin is actually an intelligently written character. But my favorite Star Wars films, the top three, are between Last Jedi, A New Hope, and Empire Strikes Back, and number one of that list is A New Hope. Easy peasy.
Wow.
I think that the first one's the best one, and that's not because I have like a particular nostalgia factor with it. I just think it's a really solidly written film, and that doesn't mean that the rest of them are bad by any means. I love Star Wars as a franchise so much, but A New Hope just perfectly launches off what is meant to be an amazing space epic. And it does it in such a clear and concise way that you really understand this insanely fanciful world, while it still being a solid, 2-hour long film. So A New Hope, I think, had a lot to live up to in the sense that it had to encapsulate this world and introduce people, to all the craziness that happens within it. And it did it in such a way that it took the world by storm. So New Hope, for so many reasons, has got to be my favorite Star Wars movie.
All right.
Wow.
And for me, Phantom Menace, because I like the pod race, and Darth Maul versus Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan is like the best lightsaber duel ever. And Qui-Gon Jinn deserved the world and was the best Star Wars character since
You're a child.
since sliced bread.
No, we're not gonna be attacking people, Charlie.
I don't know. Qui-Gon Jinn is the best Star Wars character?
Since
That's
sliced
insane.
bread.
Charlie.
Since listen. No. He's the best. Okay, listen. Let me talk to you a little bit here. When I was a child
to him.
making my 7-year-old Gmail address, I named it Pod Racer JWD because that is the
Yeah.
coolest scene I've ever seen. Because what kind of movie says, no, we're going to stop this spice trade politics and deliver you a 30-minute racing scene? The best movie on planet Earth. That's
That
what.
I do not disagree with. I agree with you. The pod racing is epic. I
The
do
pod
not
racing
agree
is
that Qui-Gon Jinn is
insane.
the best Star Wars character.
Qui-Gon Jinn is like the most. He is a Jedi when he needs to be. He bends the rules when he needs to. He's not like, he doesn't have a stick up his butt like all the other Jedi. He's like actually sane and a human. Like, yes. And the dynamic between Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. This was sort of a joke answer at first, but now I'm starting to get passionate about it.
We need to leave before you.
All right. So, Phantom Menace. The next Socratic question. Thank you so much, Samuel Copeland. That was really fun.
Yes.
The next Socratic question comes from Heather and Michael Clark. I
Oh,
wonder if
who
they're
are
related to,
those
yeah, I don't know, like
people?
third cousins from our own Clark, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, they ask us, now that you've been doing this for 2 years, how would you say that your film analysis and relationships have changed over that time? So I'm going to read this as, how has our film analysis changed and how has our relationships with each other or maybe with film as a whole? Uh, Answer it however you will. Kasey went first last time. I'm going to throw it to Charlie.
Deteriorated. Everything's gone wrong. I hate all of you. I hate movies. No, I'm kidding. I love y'all. And I love movies. No, we've gotten 100% better, I think, in both regards. For our film first, because that's sort of the more boring answer, our film analysis, I think that we've just gotten more chill and we've gotten more friendly with one another as we're talking. Like, we used to be very analytical and be like, the symbols in this movie, in Napoleon Dynamite, his curly hair represents his tumultuous relationship with his mother. You know, like...
Which is big.
Which, you know, is huge. And we do like it when we have a little bit of those, like, you know, fantastic points within the episodes, but we really try and make them a little bit more funny, a little bit more friendly. And I think the tone that we've, you know, started to cultivate is one where you can come in and feel like, you know, you're with a group of friends that you've known your entire life, right? And as friends, I mean, it's very obvious that, you know, we've gotten to know each other a whole lot better. And,
Yeah,
you know, we went from classmates to, like, you know, people that I trust with my life. So, you know, I think that that's a...
Oh.
Well, James, you know, actually, after that Phantom Menace answer, now that you
Yeah,
say
I was
it,
gonna
I don't really... I'm having second thoughts.
Yeah, rethink.
Casey and I are
rewrite
still
the
fine, but you...
Okay. All right. I
don't
would
know.
say the same though. I mean, I think it's pretty, we have gotten a lot more chill. I think definitely is a good way to put it. Hopefully we're funnier now. That's what I would hope. But I think overall, yeah, the episodes have gotten a lot more natural. Like, I don't feel like I have to stress out to come up with like a good take before the recording starts. I feel like I can just come in and talk about movies with my friends and have that be that. And from a lot of our feedback, it's people say that it feels like talking with friends. So I like that tone and I want to continue to cultivate that because you are our friends. Yeah, no, but like our relationships with each other, I think have gotten like tenfold better. I mean, I didn't know Kasey like when we started, you know?
Yeah, that is
Like,
true.
Yeah.
I just straight up did not know Kasey. And now
You barely knew me, man.
I knew you for like a month. Yeah, I was pretty like fresh with both of you guys. And now we're thick as thieves, huh?
Yeah.
Look at us now, mom. Ah.
Hey, look, Ma, I made it.
Is there
Oh, wow.
2 years later.
2 years later. Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. Because this, I'm going to try to not get emotional because, you
Oh,
know, it's
wow.
going to be like an emotional week, but
Mhm.
like, especially talking about film, I love movies, obviously, but I feel like even looking at the development of how, what, like, whether or not we take notes doesn't really affect our
That's big.
like that's a big thing
We
because
don't
I
need
would
notes anymore.
we don't need notes anymore. I got it in me noggin. Yeah,
Maybe you didn't
Charlie
need
won.
them, but maybe you should have had them.
Right, but I remember like there would be times where like, oh crap, I didn't take notes. And then I'd be like scrambling or I'd be taking notes um like my life depended on it because I felt like, oh my God, I'm not gonna be able to keep up if I don't have notes. But now it's just so much more chill and I love it so much. And I feel like it's like, I mean, I've always had fun. You know, I've always like had
Yeah.
fun just sitting and like talking, whether or not it's like over the Discord or in person or something like that. But especially like our relationship personally, like at the beginning of when we started, like as James was saying, like I didn't know like you guys outside of the classes that we had
I
together.
didn't know you in the classes we had
No, that
together.
was true. That was true. We didn't really talk. And just to go from like being like acquaintances and like desk partners to like as Charlie was saying, like I literally like trust you guys so much, and I try to like tell you guys that I love you guys like all the time, like as much as
Aw,
I can,
Casey.
because I do, and like you guys mean like so much to me,
Casey.
and I'm like sorry,
You're gonna
I'll
make
keep it
James cry
brief.
like Anthony. Don't make him
Listen,
do it.
I never
But-
cry. My eyes are dry.
You should
Dry.
get
I
that
haven't
checked
cried
out.
in 15 years. But like, yeah, like even going from being like, because like, listen, for those of you at home that don't know, these guys are insanely smart. Right. And so like sometimes, it can be a little intimidating. But like from going from feeling like I had to like keep up to being like, you know what? No, they can keep up with me. No,
Yeah.
I'm
I was
joking.
gonna say, no,
Yeah.
Casey, you've had the best character arc on this cast. Like Charlie and I are still annoying twats who talk too much, but you have like
British, right? Why'd you put a British accent on?
I didn't.
You said
That's
annoying twats.
Well,
Yeah,
Charlie and I are still insufferable, but I mean, like I know that like early on, I definitely had a tendency to just like talk and talk and talk and talk. But like, to see your takes flourish from
And grow.
yes, flourish and grow into the hottest takes has been so nice.
I don't
to
know
see.
if it was Casey's character arc or the fact that we just learned how to shut up a little bit.
You know, maybe a little bit of both.
Let's go a little bit of both. Yeah, but like I honestly can't even blame like you guys because I just wouldn't like, I don't know, I didn't want to like interrupt
In which
or
Casey
anything.
learns
And
how
then
to
you're like,
take
no,
accountability.
literally, please stop us from talking. I
I know,
remember
we've had-
that conversation.
We've had so many staff meetings where the main point is like, please interrupt us.
yes,
We have no
and I-
self-control.
But I anyways, all that to say is I love being the voice of reason. I love being the little random ball of violence at times. And yeah, I just love you guys.
I'm gonna call you a ball of violence from now on. That's a great.
Yeah. I hope those answers quenched your desire for Socratic content, dearest patrons. We'll see you guys next month for another round of questions. If you want to ask us a question, you can do that. Maybe if we get enough questions, it'll have to go from like a segment on the show to just like a monthly episode of questions. That would be something. Or we just like spread them throughout the month. So every week we do like a question or two. That would be cool.
Oh,
So
be
make it
so
happen,
fun.
guys. You want
Mhm.
to hear us answer more questions? Ask us good questions. Yeah, how about that?
yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, he just called you out.
Thank you so much, as always, for your continued support. Our patrons, we value you so much, and you make the show possible. Thank you, and let's dive back into the Queer Eye for a little bit. Should we have the conversation? Should we have the conversation about the religion that we've been putting off? I don't know.
I was about to say, yeah.
'Cause
Do we want
we-
to start with the tier list
the
and then
runtime.
end?
Listen, the runtime is getting up there. So I think
Okay.
I'm just gonna
Let's just go straight in.
let's go. I will say, Anthony is at the top of my list. You know, what, I'm just gonna speak. I'm gonna give you no context. I'm gonna from best to worst. It goes Anthony, Karamo, Tan, Bobby, Jonathan.
That's a crazy list.
I'm not gonna apologize.
That order? What?
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. That-
Wow.
That's crazy.
Jonathan I mean, I guess you did watch episodes where he was barely in them, but
Yeah.
that is. I know that's
What's your
uneducated.
list?
I don't.
It is uneducated. I've seen 3 episodes.
My list. I really like them all and love them equally,
Ah, God.
and I
Casey,
think they're great.
Casey,
Wonderful.
do you have a list?
Yes, I have a list, but
my
I
God.
would
Screw
also
you,
like
Charlie.
to pre-record. I would the pre, but no, not the
Yes,
prerequisite.
okay, I
but
don't
I'd let-
dislike any of them. All right,
Yes,
I
I don't dislike
yes.
any of them.
Oh, we get
These
you
are
hate
just-
Jonathan. That's fine.
all right.
No,
Casey,
we
Casey,
love them.
We have
Okay.
to
They'll
get
just
into the
never do
religious.
your
I'm
hair.
sorry. I'm sorry. It goes Karamo, Anthony, Bobby, and then Tan and Karamo, Anthony, Tan, Bobby, Jonathan.
What again at the
Oh,
bottom?
I'm correct.
What?
I'm right, dude.
No. Oh my
No,
God.
and I love them. It's not anything against the notorious JVN. or anything like that. It's just between everyone. If I have to rank them, then that's how I'm ranking them.
Look, Jonathan, when Kasey and James nominate me for Queer Eye, just know that I stood up for you. All right?
Just
Remember
know that
that.
he needs a haircut.
Give me a good haircut.
Yes.
That's all I
right.
ask.
What we're here. What do
Yeah,
we say
we're
now?
here.
What do we
All
say
right.
now?
Well, let's talk about reconciliation with the church. I know that y'all are pretty straight.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I'd agree with that estimation. It's like as far as I know.
Yeah. So you know what? And that's okay.
Okay, now Kasey.
Nor-
Whatever
it's
you
okay to be
James, we had
straight.
some adorable prom photos, wouldn't you say?
I know.
Can we have the conversation? Kasey,
Can
lead this
we-
conversation.
Okay, so I mean, I know that as a queer person, I've had some questions, I've had some conflict, I've had a lot of I don't know, I feel like with religion, especially like with Christianity, there's a lot of things that I don't necessarily agree with. And I feel like the discourse surrounding just queer relationships and the LGBTQ plus community is one of them that has made my like journey in faith just incredibly hard, and especially in the last few years, like coming into myself and being like, yeah, I am queer, and that's okay, and I can be queer and I can be Christian, and I can speak to my friends who are queer but not Christian, and have them know that, like, no matter what, I'm a safe space, even though other people like might not be. Like, I feel like the hardest thing for me too is that you can think that you're going to an affirming church, but then there's a lot of like politics going on like behind the scenes that aren't as affirming, and so it's very, very hard to kind of balance it, because I feel like once you get into the politics of church and going back and forth on whether or not it leans more kind of like conservative, which it honestly kind of reminds me of the Declaration of Independence, like the people that like read it word for word and are like, this sorry, not the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution. I did not take the government test.
Still, that was a crazy turn.
No, I'm waiting for it.
But
No,
like,
this is
think
great.
about it. Like how people understand the Constitution. Some people read it word for word and they say, this is how we're going to make, this is how laws should be made.
Yes,
This is
good
how
point.
this and that are going to be made. Well, other people look at it and say, this is a framework, but not everything fits into what is accurate now, and I feel like the Bible's the same way. I feel like we have a lot of people that use the Bible as trail mix, and they want to pick and choose things, and they want to twist Jesus's words or God's words and what he's trying to say. And they even kind of got into it in Preaching Out Loud with, there's a whole bunch of different translations that have been misconstrued, and that's kind of been carried over. And there's that, dang it, I also was not in Kiwanis, so I do not know my Bible verses. But James, if you could help me out with this one, the story where
the story with the centurion.
Yes, with the centurions. Yes.
Yeah. What was that?
Where it's essentially they and it's like the city that got like completely obliterated, and then it's always talked about as like,
These are different. These are two different stories.
Wait, okay.
You're in two different testaments.
I'm in two different testaments.
Are we talking the centurion that they talked about in the episode, or are we talking about Sodom and Gomorrah?
Sodom and Gomorrah. That
one. Yeah.
Yes. And so essentially in that story, the abridged version that I can remember off the top of my head is that there's this town where there is a whole bunch of, I guess, like queer or it was queer coded activity, but And that was kind of completely taken. And because of God's reaction to that queer coded activity with the kind of destruction of that town or community, it was taken as God not being affirming of queerness, even though the actual reality of that situation was it was male and then like younger male. So it was more about pedophilia than it was about being queer. And yes.
Yeah. No, nothing.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm
Okay. I was like, stop me if I'm wrong, but
well, I mean, look, there's a million different translations. I'm not a scholar who can say if you're right or wrong. The dudes that the people from Sodom wanted to sleep with were also angels, by the way. Like
oh,
Lot
dang.
came
What?
to Sodom with angels and was staying with the angels, and these dudes were like, "Hey, let us have those buddies you came with." It's like, they're angels.
They're angels, dude. Chill.
Dude,
And
this lore is insane. I love it.
everyone in Sodom and Gomorrah is awful for a number of reasons.
A
by the
number
way.
of
Like
reasons. Yes.
there's a lot. I mean, they're after they refused to give up the angels, they were like, "Oh, I have a better idea. Let's just give them our daughter instead." That's like no, they were. There's a lot of levels of wrongness going on here. Like
yes.
Sodom and Gomorrah is not a black and white thing. And it's you're right. A lot of times this story is used as like the centerpiece of this conversation. And I think one thing that is important to remember in this conversation, and again, I can only speak from a Catholic viewpoint. I know what my church knows. Is that there's like a bajillion flavors of Christianity, and all of them have varying levels of acceptance, if you will. Christianity is a big window. I mean, Lutheranism is very different from Catholicism, is very different from baptism, is very different from like
Non-denominational.
look, yeah, everything non-denominational is you're diving into the maelstrom there. Non-denominational is just not falling onto any one specific label. It's like it's like being gay versus being queer. It's like
Yes,
know?
umbrella terms.
Yeah.
Terms.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of different. I mean, again, I only know what my church knows, and I mean, listen, man, the Catholic Church never said being gay is a sin. Like being gay is not a sin for us Catholics. So hopefully, I win some brownie points. But yeah, no, I mean, it's an important conversation to have. I mean, because there are so many churches that are not welcoming to LGBT people, and that's just so like not the move. I mean, like
It's not
as
godly, man.
it's not godly, man. I mean, look, like for my money, like obviously, how do I say this? I guess what I'm trying to say is like love people where they're at, like you would want everyone and their mother to be, to have the same lovely experience with religion that you've had. So why would you mess that up by
Exactly.
telling people that they're going to hell for the way they are when the way they are is not inherently sinful, Like anyways, we're getting into semantics here, but that's my sort of perspective on it all, I guess I would say.
Just to
Yeah,
add
yeah.
on, as a person that is neither queer nor Christian, nor religious, I think that that's always the thing, or that's always the way that I've understood Christianity. Is I think it's ridiculous for someone to even want to tell someone they're going to hell by the tenets of their own religion. Like,
yes.
to me, Christianity is meant to be a thing at its best. It is filled with love and hope and acceptance and community. And that is the beauty of Christianity. But some people will misconstrue that and try to bring pain and sadness into people's lives in a way that is just completely antithetical to the whole point of the religion that they are meant to be preaching. And it's frustrating to see because it is so obviously built around just a culture within specific churches, because every church has its own different way of practicing things. It's built within these communities, and it's an issue that needs to be addressed at these tiny community levels.
Yeah,
because
there's not a
this
whole lot of like
compromises.
centralized moves you can do, which is like the hard
Yeah.
part. Like, there's no just president of Christianity. Like, there's the Pope, but that's only Catholics, and even the Pope has, can only has so much breadth, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
the thing with Christianity is it's a huge pool of these tiny little communities. It's like if well, it's not really because the United States has the president, but it's like if you were trying to get one guy to like enforce a law in every single city. It's like that's hard to do. Like you have to go to each city and be like, "Hey, here's the new plan. Here's how we're gonna do this." You know?
Well, yeah, it's exactly
Yeah.
like that. The Pope and the president. Well, I guess like the historical
It's
example would be how the Supreme Court will make decisions on rulings, and then it's up to the executive branch to enforce those decisions, and oftentimes they do not.
yeah,
Right.
or
The
the
Right.
same thing
Yeah.
can occur with the Pope. If people disagree with what the Pope does, it may be against his wishes, but like at a community level, you have to go there to change it.
yeah,
Like,
or even a better analogy would be like the Pope making a statement is like the Pope making a statement to Christianity is like the president making a statement to the world. Like the Pope's got
yes.
Catholicism, but just like how the president has the US, but like there's a whole lot of world out there that's not the US, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah. Ah, yes. Papacy.
Yeah. And
Uh,
I mean, I feel like that's why affirming church, like, there needs to be more affirming churches. Like, no one's going to want to go to a place or be in a religion that is being hateful to people.
Yeah.
Like, even like looking at like Bobby and Anthony and even Karamo and like Miles, like they are grown men. And what the church did to them, like, or especially Bobby, like he couldn't step into an empty church building.
And
And like
that's
that
yeah.
really, like it just really like hurts, you
It,
know?
it it does. And that's sort of where I want to like again reinforce that like there will be a place for you. Like you just have to find the
Yeah.
right one, you know? Um yeah. Wow. Yeah. There's a lot to talk about here though, for sure.
Mhm. Charlie, what any more thoughts from you?
Uh, not really. I mean, definitely not the person who has the most insight on this sort of topic. I just go back to my first point. Like, well, in my experience with organized religion and churches and things like that, I've felt excluded as somebody who is agnostic at some points. Like, I've gone to performances to support people, like Christmas performances and things like that. And then the performances are about like how if you're not religious, then you're immoral and sad and mean to everyone. And it definitely feels like a lot of the times organized religion in the way that they portray, specifically Christianity, can feel very exclusive to anybody that is not already perfectly within the bubble. And if you don't fit within that space, people really feel like you're going to pop it and they want to push you out or suck you in entirely and erase whatever uniqueness there was about you. So, especially with queer individuals, I think it's very important to be loving and accepting because I just don't see why something built on so much love has to do that. I don't get the exclusion. I think it's entirely contrary to the point. And I think that even hiding behind scripture or things like that to justify like the way that people do with Sodom and Gomorrah is ridiculous to me. When it seems very obvious that Jesus is a man who would follow the spirit of the law rather than the letter. But yeah, at
Yes.
the end of the day, just spread love and positivity, and that's the best that you can possibly do for your religion or just for yourself.
Yeah. And I don't know. Just to wrap it up, I would like to say to anyone who's listening that has been hurt or is still hurting because of something that has been said to you or pieces of your identity being used against you, that you didn't deserve it and that nothing about you is wrong in that way, especially if you can't control it. And if you're religious, or anything like that, just because someone said that God wouldn't accept you, it doesn't make sense because God made you the way that you are, you know? And so just keep your head up, keep being who you are. As James said, you're going to find your place, you're going to find your people. And whether or not that's in religion, whether or not that's outside of religion, as long as you don't lose yourself or feel bad about who you are, because like you're who you are for a reason, you know, like you are put on this earth liking who you like, presenting the way that you do, having the orientation that you have for a specific reason. There's no way that anyone here or anyone, whether or not they exist up there, can tell you anything differently. So that's all I have to say.
God doesn't give you challenges you can't overcome, baby.
Period.
Good night. If you enjoyed this episode of the Socratic Cinema Podcast, I know it was a little long. I know things may be talked about some heavier conversations, but they're important conversations to have, guys. Like, we'll go back to the Goofy movies next week. We needed to have one like important thing. Jeez, man. If you enjoyed this episode, please drop a thumbs up, drop a comment, tell us what you think. Tell us your Queer Eye Boy ranking. And I cannot wait to see all the Jonathans in last place. My
Jonathan is great. Shut
my
up.
listeners of culture.
We love them.
And we
love Jonathan.
Yeah. All right. Let's be nice. Thank you so much for listening. Please spread the word. If you think you have a friend who might enjoy this episode, go ahead and share it with them. Word of mouth is key. And if you enjoyed it, why not spread the love, right? If you didn't enjoy it, I'm sorry. I hope you come back next week and give us another chance. Because listen, people find us obnoxious at first, but you'll find yourself with the Socratic fever before you know it.
Sounds like a threat.
Yeah, watch out.
You'll be enraptured by us very shortly, viewer.
Yeah,
Just wait.
If you would like to support our nonsense on this channel, consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/Socratic Cinema. You got a taste of what the patron life is all about. I put out a little like update on what we're doing behind the scenes for the patrons. So you can find out about our future plans, about all the billion video essays I'm working on. It's going to be big. You're not ready. Your pants are going to get knocked off. It's going to be huge. Socratic is going colossal. We're going to like take over the planet. And you just want to be here when it happens, I would think. I would hope. Let me know in the comments what your favorite kind of apple is. I like Honeycrisp, but that's just me. This has been another episode of the Socratic Cinema Podcast. Signing off. Adios.
Adios.